Question number 8, School Bonds 2028. What are your priorities? Considering this consequential work will impact the school district for decades, what are your priorities and how do these priorities align with the needs of the citizens you represent? Your response may include specific school renovation rebuilds, specific facility repairs and upgrades, new construction, land acquisition, other infrastructure upgrades, commentary on the fate of the 2016 school bond projects. As the question background states, the 2016 bond was $350 million, and that included building a number of new schools. It also included major renovations of some schools, and that did not go as planned. The $13 million renovation of former Philo Hill, now Conoke Middle School, turned into a $42 million new school. In the meantime, the major renovations that were supposed to happen at Ward Elementary and Griffith Elementary didn't happen at all. And a new Smith Farm Middle School didn't happen at all. The reasoning for that was that populations didn't grow, school populations, area populations didn't grow as anticipated. The major renovations at East Forsyth High School were scaled back. The Brunson Elementary School was delayed and delayed and delayed, and now it will be built with sheetrock walls instead of concrete block walls, as 99% of our schools are built. So all of that has left sort of a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of folks who were supposed to have their schools' needs addressed by the bond and weren't. As I stated in question 7, the current estimated deferred maintenance just for the buildings that we currently have is $400 million. In order to accomplish all that was supposed to be accomplished in the $350 million bond from 2016, without 3 of those projects even happening, the county had to step up and fund more and more and more and more. So I would have to take a close look at the capacity of our schools and to decide whether there even need to be any new schools built. Now, if some of them are in such bad shape that it doesn't make sense to renovate them, then yes. As far as building new schools, the only new school that I can see a need for, and again, I would have to study that more closely, is currently Reagan, West Forsyth, and Parkland are all extremely over capacity. The school district purchased land across from Kimmel Farm Elementary School at the time that school was built for a future high school. If zoning can't be adjusted to level out the attendance at each of those schools, then maybe we need a new high school. I'm not sure. I would need to study all of the needs. I would love to sit down with principals and staff at every school, sit down with the folks, Darrell Walker and his team, Lauren Richards and her team, and find out what the deferred maintenance needs are. We absolutely have to take care of the buildings that we have so that we don't end up with demolition by neglect. In other words, you just let a building go, which is what happened to Brunson. I mean, Brunson was in the floodplain. That school had to be rebuilt. There was no question about it. My son attended Brunson, And there were floors in that building that were so unlevel that if you put a ping pong ball at one side of the room, it would beat you to the other side of the room. I mean, they were having to pour concrete under the building to keep it from sinking. But at a certain point, they just said, we're not going to do anything more to this school because we're going to build a new one. But then that new one got delayed and delayed and delayed. So we have to take care of the buildings we have. So my number one priority would be wiping out that $400 million deferred maintenance list. Get all that taken care of, all the roofs that need to be replaced, all the HVAC that needs to be replaced. When they asked what we would do with COVID funds, my recommendation to the board and the administration was to replace every HVAC unit in the district. It was eventually going to have to be done. We would never have that much free money ever again. We could have done all that, and then the money that the $400 million in deferred maintenance includes a whole lot of HVAC. So that could have been spent for other things. The one facility that I know of that needs to be rebuilt, and there's some discussion now about whether we rebuild Homer Thompson Stadium where it is. It needs to be done just like the Mount Tabor and Glenn stadiums were done. It has reached the end of its useful life. I think that is an excellent facility. It's nice to have a stadium in the county that has a capacity of 6,500 seats. I think that's the current capacity. It should be rented out for use that could bring in revenue to the district. The debate is whether it will be rebuilt there for Parkland or whether a stadium will be built on Parkland's campus as was built on Reynolds campus. My understanding is that most of the folks at Parkland are not in favor of building a stadium on campus because it would wipe out their practice field. So that's the one facility I know of, and that's been on the list for a long time. It didn't make the 2016 bond, but engineers had looked at it and said it's nearing end of useful life. So we need to take care of the buildings we have and look at how do we make sure that all the schools we have are efficiently utilized. If there's some that are overcrowded and some that are undercrowded, then we need to move students around. But before we do that, we have to make sure that every school in the district is safe in terms of its environment, its physical environment, air quality, safety of the building, roofs, all of that, and that every school in the district is an excellent school. So it's not a choice of does my kid go to a good school or a not a good school. There shouldn't be any not good schools. There should not be any F schools in Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. And currently, 50% of our schools, roughly 50%, are D and F. That's inexcusable and unacceptable. So we need to establish a standard of excellence for every student in the district, every staff member in the district, every administrator in the district, and every administrator in central office, and every board member, that you bring your best every day. And we need to sit down and decide what the priorities are, what has to be done more immediately, and what can be delayed. But we have to keep in mind that this is going to have to be paid for with future tax money. If bonds aren't retired, then new bonds will increase the tax burden on all the citizens of Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. I would have to do a whole lot more research than I've done to know exactly what my priorities would be, but I would certainly want to sit down and talk to all the stakeholders and see what the true needs are. Please vote Alan Daniel, Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Board of Education, District 2. Thank you.